Katoa no mai, haere mai, ki te whare o te reo irirangi o Maniopoto. Welcome to another webinar series, Te Puna Kōrero o Te Nehenehenui. This platform is where we kōrero with experts within their respective fields, discussing what matters to you and your whānau, and also giving you an opportunity to ask questions from the experts directly themselves. You can pop your question in the Facebook comment section, and we'll get through as many of those questions as we can this evening. Well, today the Ministry of Health reported nearly 22,500 new community cases of COVID-19 across Aotearoa. Over 2,100 new cases for the Waikato region, and as we all know, those numbers are on the increase, with the peak anticipated to be only weeks away. And for most of us, it's no surprise that Omicron is now in our homes. A number of whānau have tested positive to the virus and are currently isolating. And so tonight's session, we have a kōrero with service providers, people and organisations that may be able to provide whānau some relief and a little bit of help during the isolation, and in some cases support for whānau once they are out of isolation. And so it gives me great pleasure to welcome to tonight's webinar Felicity Beadle from Here to Help You, Sastri Montgomery from the Otorohanga Support House, Whare Āwhina, and Irina Wehi from Kotahi Aroha. Tēnā koutou e te whānau. It's lovely to have you all with us this evening. Before we get into some questions, let's just quickly go around the room and quickly introduce yourselves, and maybe just share with us how you are, how is your whānau doing at the moment. And let's start off with Felicity. Felicity, tēnā koe. Hello.
Kia ora. Oh, look, thanks everyone for having me tonight. I'm here with you from Here to Help You, and I look forward to sharing a little bit more about that with you this evening. In terms of my personal whānau, my son's actually had COVID and Omicron last week up in Auckland. He's a student up at Auckland University. So it's been interesting hearing a little bit about his journey in isolation. Touch wood, I haven't had it yet, but certainly in our Here to Help You whānau, we are extremely busy supporting whānau and people right across the region who are experiencing self-isolation and or Omicron and COVID.
Ka pai, tēnā koe, Felicity. It's great to have you on board, and I know that we'll hear more about the organisation that you support Here to Help You in the time to come. Let's head over to Ed's Wehi. Tēnā koe te tuahine.
Tēnā koe, Winnie tana, kai aku nui, kai aku rahi, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Ed's Wehi taku ingoa, heuri tēnei no Rereahu Maniapoto, me Ngāti Rārua. Yes, everything's fine, touch wood. In our little kokona o te ao. So here to represent Kotahi Aroha.
Mummy's in a meeting.
Ka pai, tēnā koe. Lovely to have you on board this evening. And final but not least, it's a very warm hello to Sastri Montgomery. Sastri Montgomery is a local here in Otorohanga. Great to have you on board. And of course, your little wee one. Kia ora.
Kia ora. She's come to get an ice block because she knows I told her that Mummy was working and now the rest of them are probably going to melt on the floor down there. But tēnā koe whānau, thank you for having me. Ko te kotaitanga te marae, ko Ngāti Manipoto te iwi, ko Ngāti Urunumi a te hapu no Otorohanga hau. So born and bred here, and currently in a part-time position with the Otorohanga Support House, Whare Āwhina. So yeah, always there to support whānau, no matter where they are. And just like everyone else, COVID has definitely picked up a lot of things. So yeah, looking forward to tonight's kōrero.
Ka pai. Great to have you on board, and I think with all of this temperature that we're experiencing at the moment, I think an ice block wouldn't go too far astray. But great to have you on board. Felicity, maybe if I can come to you first of all, because we know that for a number of our whānau who are in isolation, we hear about this organisation Here to Help You. So maybe if you could just start by sharing with us, in a nutshell, what is Here to Help You? What is it all about?
Thanks for that. So Here to Help You actually kicked off when COVID first hit Aotearoa and our shores. We're part of the WISE group, and at that time our CE said to us, and we're all heading off into kind of our whareis and our isolation for the first time, and it was all really foreign to us. Our CEs looked at myself and Irina, who is the project lead, and said, whatever it takes, just build it for the community, which was the broadest brief, right? But we just went, okay. So we listened. So we listened to what the community needed. And out of that grew Here to Help You. What we identified is that people needed options. They needed different ways to be able to reach out for support. Some people had reached out for support before, others hadn't. And so Here to Help You really grew out of that kōrero and was built as an end-to-end platform. It is free for whānau to use, and it is free for providers to belong to. So we kicked off 2 years ago with, I think it was 16 providers, and we've now got over 200 on the platform. We started in Kirikiriroa, and we're now available right across the region in Tauranga and in Western Bay of Plenty, and we've got lots of other regions knocking on the door.
Awesome. And I know that a lot of our whānau have engaged with your services, and we'll talk a little bit more about those services as our evening progresses. If I can come to you, Sastri, you've been at the Otorohanga Support House Whareawhina for a little bit, and it's almost like a one-stop shop for our whānau. So can you probably just give us a little bit of a broad overview at what happens at the Otorohanga Support House?
So the idea of Whareawhina and Support House was to pit or to unite both worlds. So not only mainstream, but also being able to touch base and create links for everything around us. So that involves food bank. We do outsource budgeting as well, counselling. I know that sounds like a really big word to a lot of people, but sometimes it could be just something as simple as having techniques on how to control your children while you're in a hui. But we also have family support, so that could just be a wraparound service for you and your whānau while you're going through COVID as well. So not only isolating, whether you've just come out of isolating or something's changed in your mahi and you just need some direction, we can also help with that. But yeah, we sort of touch in a few places, and food bank and counselling at the moment have been high in demand. So yeah.
Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit about that demand that you just touched on there a little bit later on this evening as well. But thank you, Sastri. And looking towards Irina, and you provide a particular service at the other end of the geography of the map. So can you just talk to us a little bit about what Kotahi Aroha does and where the rōpū is located?
So Kotahi Aroha was an initiative established about 8-9 years ago, and it was a mai maniapoto, more maniapoto approach to hauora. So currently we reside in the old Te Kuiti Caravan Park building, so that's on the corner of Stainton Terrace and Henerangi Street. And we tiaki those from pretty much Waitomo down towards Taumaranui, Pio Mania Iti Bini Taio.
Lovely. So a very, very large area of coverage there. Whānau, can I just remind you all that are watching that if you've got any questions that you have of any of our guest panelists this evening, that you can ask your questions by popping those in the Facebook comment section, and we'll ask those questions of our panelists as we move through the evening. Now, we touched on a little bit about demand, and if I can come to you first, Felicity, Here to Help You was established in response to the pandemic. So how has the demand for your service changed or progressed, if you like, since it started out?
Yeah, great question. So when we started out, we were having, we were just really new. small numbers of demand, and that's steadily growing over the 2 years. So it's just growing week on week, organic growth really. And what we have noticed and what we know to be true is that during lockdowns and changing alert levels, our demand escalates. It almost, you can guarantee it's going to hockey stick. But interestingly, in the last 2 weeks, and you spoke about some of the numbers that we're seeing right now when you opened this live tonight, and what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is an 800% increase in demand. It's significant.
Wow. Yeah, that's phenomenal numbers. And I'm wondering, Sastri, because you did touch on it earlier on in your kōrero, just whether, the Otoranga Support House, you've experienced some demand there. Are you able to give us a little bit more detail on what are some of the other services that our whānau are using at the moment?
Yeah. So a little bit like Felicity, the numbers sort of go up and down as things change. And that may be for many different reasons. Not 100% sure. Every whānau comes and, they're usually coming with good reason. So pre 2021 lockdown, I should say, we were working in single digits through days of the week, through food parcels, and our numbers were pretty steady when it comes to family support and counselling. And as things started lingering on and staying around for a wee while, and then obviously escalating again recently, the numbers sort of skyrocket up into the hundreds per week. So yeah, we're sort of, we've got into a point now where we can manage that amount, thinking that it was only going to be a couple of weeks back in August to how many months down the track, and we're now realising that the demand is sticking around and will stay around for a wee while until families can get their feet back on the ground.
Indeed. And I guess that's a similar situation for you, Irina. You've been in the business now for 8-9 years, and one can only assume that over the last year or two that demand for help for awhi has increased significantly.
Ai, definitely. Hei orite ki te tokorua, we're facing similar trends within kotahi aroha with our whānau. So what we've done is we've added another initiative to our kaupapa where we have a seed share. And what we're doing is we're teaching our whānau mauri o te kai. So not only are we providing kai to our whānau, we're actually teaching them the benefits of being able to mahi mara. And I suppose the positive of it all is when the whānau are isolating, they have time, so they are tending to mara. So in terms of the marakai kaupapa, we started back in October, where we established a seed share for whānau. We came together once a month and we bought seed. And then from there we had wānanga. So we have wānanga online, wānanga kānohi. And from the kai, we actually teach whakapapa of kai. We also support whānau with growing kai, and then also recipes and preserving kai. So trying to have another spin to the kaupapa. So our kaupapa is definitely not a handout, it's a hand up. So yeah, and I suppose that's the beauty of the spaces that we have and we share. So
And just talking about that hand up philosophy there, Felicity. I know that you work across the region. Are you able to kind of define what is the single most service that our whānau are seeking? What's the one support or the most support that they're after when they come to you here to help you?
Yeah, look, definitely during crisis time, it's kai. That is definitely what everyone is reaching out for. But we also have noticed in this last, like lockdown and more so like right now with Omicron and so many people self-isolating, as well as Kai, we're getting more requests for things like baby products, nappies, cleaning products, and sanitary and hygiene products. They're coming through a lot. Unfortunately, there are supply chain issues out there that we're all battling, I think, right now across New Zealand. So that's something we're just asking whānau to be patient with. We're hustling behind the scenes, like I'm sure all of the guests tonight are. And, we're just doing the hustle with our channels and we're trying to get that supply. We're just doing our best to get it through to whānau.
Yeah, I guess hustle is the key word there. I saw that, Irina, you had a big smile on your face there, because I can only assume that there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to give our whānau that hand up. But in your experiences, especially over the last little period, what's been the one thing that has stood out for you that our whānau have constantly come back to ask for that hand up?
So in our space, definitely, to be quite honest, yeah, it has been Kai, but a lot of it has been around mātauranga. So knowing what a vaccine pass is, how to access vaccine passes, manaaki plans, how do we look after our whānau during a pandemic? Because obviously this is a new space that we're all navigating at the moment. Another thing. Actually, one thing that comes to mind is kōrero. So we've spent several nights in the back of our vehicles with the boot up, just talking to whānau that are isolating, especially those that are isolating on their own, and just talking to them. So they're just wanting someone to talk to.
And if we come to you, Sastri, in Otorohanga, just north of where Irina is, how's things been for our locals there? Have you found that there is one particular service that whānau kind of need at the moment, or have been using at the moment?
I could definitely say Kai, just like the rest of the panel here. Kai has been a high demand. It definitely takes away, I think, a lot of anxiety around other things that might be going on in the whare. And so just being able to take that wee relief of whānau to be able to access that, not only those who are isolating and hadn't planned ahead or had a plan in place. And I'll just quickly plug Eds again. If you don't have that plan, give her a call up. But yeah, so food has probably been a high demand, and with that comes the anxiety. So counselling is slowly on the increase as well for whānau. That's starting to show up.
Hearing that Kai is the one thing that across all of the agencies are experiencing at the moment. Felicity, for you, because you have a kind of a broader geographical, I guess, responsibility. So how is it for whānau coming to you? They're quite hesitant in reaching out for help, and it must be very, very difficult for whānau to come and ask for, in particular, Kai. So how do you adhere to help you? How do you overcome that?
That's a great question. And there's definitely so much whakamara out there for people when they're reaching out for support, wellbeing support and social support. That's definitely really real. That's one of the reasons why we set Here to Help You Up for people in whānau, so that there were no barriers. We wanted to make accessing free support as easy as ordering a pizza. And you might not have sort of pizza delivery in some of the smaller areas, but we see it on TV. It should be, we believe that, our belief was it should be as easy as going online, submitting a help request through our website within 2 minutes, or ringing our 0800 number. There should be no barriers. There should be no stress. And, like the other panelists have said, there is a lot of stress out there at the moment for whānau. So I think we all probably agree that our role is to remove that stress, and we're one of the options. At Here to Help You, we try and make it as easy as possible for people to submit a help request really quickly. And then our beautiful local connectors, we have Māori, Pacifica, LGBTQIA plus connectors. We have them right across the board. They get on the phones and they take all that stress away for the whānau.
Great support there, and I guess Irina, a lot of our whānau Māori, in particular, are really struggling during this time because of this whakama, the sense of whakama, because they're not one normally to put their hand up and ask for help. So, in your organisation and your rōpū, how do you make it easy for our whānau to come forward and just ask for that help or just have that hand up for help?
Yeah, I think for us, it's knowing our community. So it's not hard to know who has COVID. And a lot of the time, it's other whānau members that refer, their whanaunga on to us. And what we do is we just drop and we just give them a wave and say, hey, we're just feeding our whānau, so here's some kai. So again, our approach is just a real whānau focused, and not only whānau focused, but we've had other people come to the puna and ask for kai. So again, I think, when you know your hapori, and again, everybody's posting at the moment on Facebook, we've got COVID or posting their RATS test. So straight away, we're just in there. Like some of the time, we just reach out. So, yeah.
Sastri, Irina just spoke about, in the community and everybody, knowing one another. And, Otorohanga is a very small community where everybody knows everyone. So it must be difficult for, some of our whānau to come forward when they need, that extra little bit of support. So how at the Otorohanga Support House, how do you accommodate that? How do you look after our whānau in that sense?
I look after my whānau by turning down the YouTube video because she told me it was too loud for starters. I don't want my whānau. But yeah, a little bit like what you're just saying, Winnie, is that it is a small community. And we're fortunate enough to have several other providers in the area who actually can also help out. So it's just reach out, whether that's to iwi, you can reach out to iwi, to your marae. Someone's likely to know where you can get support from. And obviously these three faces will definitely be out there as well. But for us, it is a little bit... I guess our structure, because of the amount of numbers that are just piling through, I would love to say the doors, but that are piling through our numbers at the moment, have stopped us being able to reach out like we normally would, knowing that, we haven't seen this whānau for a while, or we haven't seen that whānau. We're lucky enough that people are actually reaching out when they need it. Because that whakama although that whakama is still there, they know that there's other places that they can reach out to ask for help.
Indeed. And just talking about, reaching out, just want to remind our viewers at home to send in your questions. If you have a question that you'd like to ask of our guest panelists, then pop that question into the Facebook comment section below, and we'll work our way through those questions very shortly. But if I can come to you, Felicity, with all that's been going on, the isolation, the pandemic, it certainly has taken its toll mentally on a lot of people and a lot of our whānau. So how has Here to Help You been able to support mental health within our whānau?
Yeah, and I think it's taken its toll now, but I think what we also need to be really aware of is that, we think, we're really focused right now on the crisis time with just navigating what we are. But, in speaking to some of the providers and the people in the space, we believe when we come out of this, that mental health support's going to be probably even more necessary and more important. So those other supports that, we've got on Here to Help You, mental health support, and many of these other providers are offering, employment support, financial support, they're going to be as important when we get out of this kind of Omicron phase. But the way that we help people right now is, we've got fabulous connectors. Our connectors are all trained in social support and wellbeing. And when whānau call, when they contact the whānau after a help request is received, they're really quick to identify if there is mental health need or support required. And then they speak them through, they're really empathetic, they're really understanding, they do a lot of listening on that call and that triage work. We are able to connect them with a number of providers, so we can offer them a whole range of opportunities and support services, from 1737 to our online Just a Thought digital tool, which is free, that they can access anxiety and generalized anxiety disorder courses. There's a whole lot of courses on there. And then we can also link them to the whole range of providers that sit in the back end of Here to Help You, that have counselling support. Our connectors know the subsidies and the funding that are available. So all that is kind of all that hard work and that heavy lifting. We actually, we make sure we do that for the whānau. So all that stress is not there, it's taken away.
And I do want to come to you, Irina and Shastri, in regards to mental health and well-being. But just very quickly, Felicity, if whānau who are watching tonight, feel that they need support, in particular, mental health support, how do they get in touch with you?
So whānau, you can just, it's really, really easy. You can go online now to Here to Help You, with the you see that there, .nz. So www.heretohelpyou.nz, and you can open up a help request and get it into us within a couple of minutes. We do have high demand, so it will join our queue, and then one of our connectors will be in touch. If whānau out there don't have online access, and we know there's a lot of people that don't, we've got an 0800 number, so just call it up and you just leave a message, and we're clearing that really regularly throughout the day. The number is 0800 568 273. And so just log us a request and we'll be in touch.
Thank you for that, Felicity. And we'll be sure to pop that 0800 number on our screens for our whānau as well. Irina, in Te Kuiti, you must come into contact with a lot of our whānau who are going through, the strife of COVID-19, the strife of isolation. So I'm guessing there's more of a one-on-one support in terms of mental health for our whānau?
Yeah. I think for us, we try and do away with the kōrero on mental health and have a more of a manaaki approach. I think when we start talking mental health, a lot of kōrero can be blurred, and a lot of the time it scares our whānau. So, all our supporters is, a space for whānau to be able to kōrero. Say if there was anything around mental health involved, that's kind of out of our boundaries, or not even boundaries, that's out of our mahi. Even though I'm trained in mental health and I'm a qualified social worker, I still feel that that kōrero is something hohonu to whānau, and, just directing them to other supports out there. But,
Yeah, ka pai. And, any support in terms of directing, our whānau where they need to go is certainly a wonderful thing too. And I know for you, Sashi, because you're like a, one-stop shop as well, working at the Otorohanga support house. And you mentioned this earlier on in the evening that there's a lot of, there is counselling services available for our whānau. Are you able to share a bit more details about those services?
Yeah. So let's count how many times I say. Our counselling services were are there. That word counselling probably does a little bit like Ed says it pushes people away just hearing that word, because all of a sudden people think, oh no, something must be wrong with me. But that's not the case. They're also there just to have a kōrero and be able to offer people a space to actually put out what they're trying to even figure out what they want to say. Sometimes it's as easy as saying, hey, look, I've been in isolation now for 9 days with my kids, and I don't know. I don't know what to feed them. And just those small frustrations and saying, do you have kai in your fridge? And them saying, no. You know, it's also picked up through those counselling times as well. But I'm just reading through the comments as well. Give us a call. We don't have a specific criteria or thing you have to fit into to be able to access those services. You could either, and if you feel like, you know, that even that's you're too whakama for that, talk with your doctor. They're for help for that sort of stuff, and they can put you through to us as well. But yeah, it's there and it's available to access. You can do it through Here to Help You, and they can pop you through to us as well if you ask for that. But yeah, definitely reaching out, even if you think, oh, you know, it's nothing. If it crossed your mind, it's probably something. So reach out for that.
Yeah,
Never
absolutely.
feel enough to reach out for help.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that's kind of standing out for us this evening is that, you know, even though you each work in your own respective areas, your own respective fields, there's a lot of collaboration between you all, because you're all, you know, helping one another, and you're doing this for everyone, and that's really lovely to see. We'll talk more a little bit about where to find help and those contact details a little bit later on this evening. But as I mentioned earlier on, we did ask for those of you who are at home that did have questions that you wanted to ask our guest panelists this evening, to pop those questions in the comment section below, and we'll work our way through those questions this evening. And we've got questions coming through right now. And so this first question is from Ernest, and the question is, how many support parcels can a person receive whilst isolating? So maybe if we can go around the room, and let's just start with you, Felicity, because we're learning more about Here to Help You. Is this something that you might be able to answer for Ernest?
I'll give it a bit of a go, but it's probably something that our other panelists can probably answer a little bit better than me. What we're trying to do is get through people like when they first pop in a help request when they first go into isolation, and get them the help, because we've got hundreds of people coming through. We try and get everyone to have one, the first go, and then get them through to the providers. So I think the providers on the ground there that we've got on the panel can probably answer, if they're getting multiple requests, how they handle it.
Indeed. And Sasha, I know that there's a kai service from the Otorohanga Support House. Are you able to kind of give us an idea of how many food parcels kind of go out whilst isolating?
Yep. So, Kia ora, Ernest. Everything comes down to what your situation is. So, we could provide you kai, and coming from experience, sometimes when you're just at home, you can sort of churn through 3 days worth of kai or 5 days worth of kai in 2 days. So if a whānau's isolating, we would rather provide more kai or provide more services to you to allow you to stay home and isolate safely, in order to keep the rest of our community and whānau safe. So we wouldn't put a limit on it. If your whānau requires some kind of support, we would continue to offer it until you can safely leave your own whare.
Indeed. And just wondering, Erina, what's the situation like in Te Kuiti in terms of support parcels that a person can receive whilst isolating?
Thank you for the pātai, Matua Ernest. In terms of, I can only talk for Kotahi Aroha, so we actually have no cap on parcels and how many parcels a whānau can receive. But again, when we do drop off parcels, we just let whānau know if they do require more kai, just to reach out. So we'll just keep on delivering those parcels until there's no more. So yeah, we don't have a cap at the moment. But I do know there are other services in Te Kuiti that are doing a great job out there delivering kai. So if we can't provide, then we know that there are other providers out there that can.
Kapai, thank you for that. And thank you, Ernest, for your question. Let's take another look at another question coming in. This is from Shiloh, and the question is asking, who can access these services, and is there any barriers that would stop people being able to access these services? So let's start with you, Felicity. Yeah, is there any barriers that would stop people from coming forward to accessing Here to Help You?
Thanks for the question, Charlotte. Look, that's what we've designed Here to Help You for. We've hopefully removed all barriers. It's free to come through our service, and it is a one-stop shop. So when you come through Here to Help You, if you have a wee look on the website at any stage, if you're going to access it digitally, you'll see that there's a whole range of help type categories, and they're different if you go through I'm living in the community to if I'm actually self-isolating. There's a different range of help types available. There is no cost to any of them. You can tick as many of those as you want, and our connectors will also, when they call the whānau, they also identify if there's other services that could be of support to that whānau. So you might not tick something or know of something that actually could be really helpful. So no barriers at all. If people don't have online access, they can use our free phone number. And again, it's all free.
Right. And I'm probably going to ask the same question to you, Irina, based in Te Kuiti. Who is it that can access the services that Ko Tahi Aroha provide? And is there anything that stops our whānau from accessing that service?
Tēnā koe, Shiloh. Thank you for your pātai. I'd like to hope and think that there are no barriers, but if there has been, please let us know. No barriers. What would stop people from being able to access services, honestly, would be communication. So if you didn't know that we existed, then that could be a barrier. So the good thing about tonight is that we're putting it out there that Ko Tahi Aroha is about. But again, no barriers. Kai is free. Ko au, ko au.
And just talking about, just very quickly, accessing those services, Irina, how can our whānau get in touch with Ko Tahi Aroha?
So we have a page on Facebook called Ko Tahi Aroha. That's Ko with a 1 and Aroha, Aroha, as you see on the screen. Flick me a PM, Edswehi, on Facebook. Also my number that MFM will put up. And if you can't make contact, just ask somebody in town, ring MFM.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll be glad to forward your details over to Irina. And with you, Sastri, at the Otorohanga Support House, in terms of access and maybe some difficulties for whānau accessing the services that you provide?
So just like the other panelists, we do also try and minimise that and try and make it as less as possible. No stress trying to get access to us. So you come through the door, can give us a call, can jump on Facebook, can email us, and all those sort of things as well. So no, is probably the short answer to that. Barriers, obviously, if you've got no putia on the phone to give us a call, or no Wi-Fi, Otorohanga's lucky enough to have free internet downtown. So just another quick one there. If you have no internet, that's available downtown for free. And yeah.
Nice.
Does that answer
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important, Sastri, about the Wi-Fi, because a lot of our content is now online, and I know that is difficult for some whānau. So to hear that the Otorohanga Support House has free Wi-Fi, then yeah, absolutely, we'll certainly make use of that. But thank you, Shiloh, for your question this evening. Let's take a look at another question that's coming in from our Facebook page, and this question is from Ernest again. And the question is, are the parcels the same if people are isolating or have a COVID in the household. So let's reverse the order. Let's go to Sastri with this question.
As much as I'd love to say no, yes. So if you've got COVID in your household, obviously your time frame extends out to what would be 10 days or 7 days soon, versus people who are currently self-isolating, which sometimes could be 2-3 days. If you are self-isolating and you need kai, we will provide you that kai or that parcel, including, hygiene stuff when we get it. But if you continue to isolate after that initial period, give us another call and we'll bring you another parcel. So we initially started doing parcels for a minimum of 4 days, 3 meals. And as people became COVID positive, our parcels started extending out to about 14 days worth of kai. So when you've got a household of about 9-10 people, sometimes we understand that you probably won't have the pantry or the freezer space to take that. So it could come at intervals throughout your isolation time, but that's usually when we have the kōrero with the whānau to say, do you have the space to take it? We can give it to you now. Otherwise, we can continue to bring you some in case you have new needs like a pie or chocolate or nappies. Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, Irina, in Te Kuiti, is the situation or is the process a little bit different for kotahi aroha?
Kia ora matua, Ernest, for your pātai. So are the parcels the same if people are self-isolating or have COVID? No. No. So I think for kotahi aroha, we're a voluntary service. So every day I'm on the phone hustling for kai for whānau. Pretty much we just deliver kai and we tell whānau, ring if you need more. We don't know what's going to be in there. It's a bit of a lucky dip. So yeah, that's my answer to that pātai. And like I said, very grateful for the other services that we have around town that have most probably a more strategic approach to kai than what we do. But again, he kai kai aku ringa, he kai anō te kai.
And for you, Felicity, because again, you work across a number of towns and communities, so one can only assume that parcels aren't the same for each town, for each community. So can you probably share with us how that kind of works between the towns and the parcels?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do here, thanks Ernest for that question, is to acknowledge the providers. All this is only possible with the providers and what, they are hustling big time right now under massive stress and tough conditions, trying to get their supply of kai. So it is really dependent right across the region on what kai they can get to pop in those parcels. And that's changing by the day. So we just, we really acknowledge and we're really grateful for the important mahi that those providers are all doing out on the ground. What I can tell Ernest and all our other listeners is that for Here to Help You, when you come into Here to Help You on the website, or if you leave a message in the free phone, these service options, the help type options are slightly different. That if you're living in the community and you need wellbeing support and social support, but you don't have COVID or you're not self-isolating, there's a smaller number actually at the moment in some areas. But if you're self-isolating, we have a really large number of help types at the moment that we're offering to help whānau as they navigate that isolation and COVID.
Hapai, thank you for your response there. And Ernest, I do hope that help answers your pātai. Let's take a look at another question that's come through, and this is from Kylie, and her question is, can I call up and get awhi for whānau who are too whakamā to ask themselves? So we will go around the room because I know each of you work in a different field to one another. But maybe with you, Felicity, if we come to you, because you work across many other agencies. So can this happen? Can whānau ring up and get support and awhi for others who are too whakamā to come forward themselves?
Beautiful question, Kylie. Thank you for that question. Totally. You can totally ring our 0800 number. We just need the details of someone in the whānau that we can contact. People can also jump on our website and on that www.herehelpu.nz, and you can actually assist or support some whānau to pop in a help request. So if they're struggling and finding that whakamau, or just, don't want to use the tech, you can definitely pop in a help request for them. So absolutely, just don't hesitate, jump on.
Ka pai. And what about you, Irina, in Te Kuiti with Kotahi Aroha? Can whānau call up and ask for help for others, on behalf of others?
Kia ora, Kylie. Thank you for asking that pātai. Very important question indeed. So yes, definitely. Majority of our requests that do come in on behalf of other whānau. So yes, that's a bite from us.
Lovely, and you can just see at the bottom of your screen, whānau, the contact details for Kotahi Aroha as well. And with you, Sashi, working at the Otorohanga Support House, is there any barriers for whānau wanting to come forward to make contact with you, asking for help on behalf of others?
No, so you can definitely put in a request for a whānau if you know that they're too whakamā to ask. A lot of our requests actually come from other services who don't offer kai parcels. They actually come as a referral to us to provide that. And it's just providers working together. So sometimes we hand over things to them or ask for support for whānau from them, and vice versa. So they're asking for support. Otherwise, if you know that your neighbour next door or you have a whānau member that's too whakamā, you can do that as well. All we need is the same as Felicity there. As long as we have a contact to be able to contact them or their address to be able to drop it off to, we can definitely offer that support if they're too whakamā to ask for themselves. Kia ora, Kylie.
Okay, fantastic. And yeah, thank you, Kylie, for asking that question, because I know a lot of our viewers tonight will be wondering the same thing. So tēnā koe. Let's take a look at another question that's come through on our Facebook page. And this one is from Pania. And the question is, what about COVID positive whānau that require specialist care? Our cancer whānau may need transport to Waikato. And I'm going to come to Irina first, because where you're located, Irina, is a little bit more than an hour at sometimes to get to Waikato Hospital. So what kind of support is available to our whānau who are COVID positive and require that specialist care?
Tēnā koe whai Pania. Thank you for your pātai. In a situation like this, I would actually navigate the whānau back to the DHB and actually ask that pātai, or actually ring your GP for that support. I'd love to transport you to Waikato if I could, but I can't. So we'll leave that in specialist care. So koera taku whakautu, bring the GP, head back to the DHB. Kia ora.
Ka pai. And if we just go up the road to Otorohanga, to Sashi at the Otorohanga Support House, if you're in this situation, what is it that you can provide or information that you can share for our whānau that might be in this situation?
Oh, kia ora, Auntie Pan. I definitely tautoko what Ed's just said. So obviously COVID is something that we're tippy-toeing around because we don't want to spread it any further or pass it on to anyone else, including probably our driver up to Waikato. So definitely best advice Ed's gave there was to go back to your GP for sure, and put it back into those specialist hands, like the likes of our previous panelists, Kylie and Jade.
Ka pai. And finally, if we come to you, Felicity, because I know that Felicity, you work in a more of essential kind of hub, and you've got a huge geographical area. So when you do get calls from whānau asking this type of question, how is it that you can help whānau in this kind of need?
Yeah, thanks, Pania, for this question. Our connectors are, they're just so well connected. As I said, we've got over 200 providers on the platform, and their knowledge about what's available out there is it's really extensive and intensive. So they really know things deep and wide. And what I could say, and this, you've given a really good specific example around cancer care. In this question that you've asked, here to help you, we have really strong links with the Cancer Society, the Waikato Bay of Plenty branch of the Cancer Society. So our connectors, I know, would be straight on the phone to them, and they would be making sure that they knew every possible solution that they could find, and try and connect you into that. So that's the kind of work that they do at the other end once you submit a help request.
Fantastic. Excellent. I hope that answers your question there, Pania. Let's take a look at another question that's coming through online this evening. Again, you can pop your questions into the comments below and we'll ask our guest panelists your question. This one here is from Sue, and her question is here to help you getting good buy-in in our area from local providers. As I understand, you link people with local services. So obviously this is for you, Felicity. So yeah, I guess how's that local engagement working?
Yeah, kia ora. Thank you, Sue. And, I'd love to acknowledge our beautiful panelists here tonight, because they're part of the local buy-in and the providers that are coming on. We're growing by the day with providers from Maniapoto, and we're really excited about that. We went live into your area last week after a few online hui, and we're really excited that we're live. Without much ado, we went live really quietly, and we're going to start painting your town gold and black, because we want everyone to know about Here to Help You. We're already getting lots of help requests, so they're coming in. So people are sharing the word, and that's awesome, because again, it's just, it's another option. It's another way whānau can get help. So we've got growing numbers of providers coming on. We have a whole range of people, of providers. We can offer, Māori providers, small providers, large providers. And that's something that we always try and do, is match the whānau to the right kind of provider for them. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you might have seen this earlier on in the evening, Sue, how all of our support agencies here are very clear about working in with one another. And so that is absolutely lovely to see. Let's take a look at another question that's come through online. And this is for our guest panelists. Very, very good questions that have been coming in. I know that a lot of our whānau who do watch, they are sometimes whakama in asking a question, but they do see the questions that pop up and they're like, yes, that's a question that I would like to ask and hear the answer from. So keep those questions coming through. I do know that we're almost running out of time. But we will see if we can grab another question. If not, what we'll do, we'll grab this question here. It's from Kylie, and she's asking, seeing how much you are looking after our whānau, how do you look after yourselves too? And that's a very important question, because this is something that we probably don't think about is the health and well-being of our service providers, of our frontliners. So, Sashi, let's begin with you. How do you look after yourself?
Probably through kai. It's something that I'm sure all of our whānau, obviously, that's the number one thing that they're asking for. And for myself, kai is definitely one of those things that makes my puku feel better, makes my head feel better, my entire body. So looking after me is kai and family. So there's many different ways to be able to stay in contact with whānau, whether they're isolating, you're isolating. It's as simple as putting a phone to your ear, or sending some messages, and just spending one-on-one time. Giving my daughter an ice block is probably what helps me look after me. So whānau and kai for sure.
Yeah,
and whānau have been delivering kai, which is fantastic.
Fantastic, lovely to have some of that fried bread too. Edina, for you as well, seeing how much you look after our whānau, how do you look after yourself during these difficult times?
Yeah, gee, good pātai. Thank you for that, Kylie. Gee, I actually need to acknowledge my whānau because my whānau actually the driving force behind a lot of my wacky ideas that I have. Mine is wakaama, hunting and diving. So, I get to the water quite a bit and do a bit of hunting and diving. So, that's my release.
Nice, ka pai. And what about for you, Felicity? How do you look after yourself? You know, after looking after multitudes of people across the region.
I guess I'd really love to give a shout out. Thanks, Kylie, for a beautiful question, but also shout out to our whole team at Here to Help You because they are working massive hours. So, you know, our team are hauling hours and some of them are really reluctant to actually go home at night or stop doing the calls because they just want to keep helping people. So I think I get lifted by that energy. That just keeps me going, seeing them. I think everyone who works in this space is just passionate about helping everyone else. And often we put our own needs aside because we're just driven by that. So that's really beautiful to see and it's really inspiring and it's quite empowering. But so I think as part of a team for Here to Help You, we're regularly checking in. We're making sure that we are isolating all the time. We're really wanting to get together and have a picnic and even sit 2 meters apart, but we're actually not doing that because if our team all got sick, our service would go down. So we're stopping short. We're not doing that yet. But at a personal level, things for me that I really treasure are going for my morning jog and again time with my whānau, even if it's on the phone, talking to my beautiful son and daughter who are away, picking up the phone at the end of the night and sharing and actually dragging them in because they're actually working on the mahi as well, doing calls. So always bringing them in. I think when you get into this space, it's part of your whānau.
Yeah, ka pai. And it's lovely to hear that you're all looking after yourselves as well. Here is our final question. It's from Kylie as well. And the question is, if we can volunteer our time on weekends, can we PM you 3? So let's start with you, Sastri. Kylie is offering to volunteer. Can she contact you for the weekends?
Kia ora, Nini. You weren't very specific on where you wanted to volunteer, so I've got a couple of trees that need chopping down and a lawn that needs mowed if you want to come on over. But through the Otorohanga Support House, because we are a contracted mahi, so we do actually have to vet some people because obviously there's privacy things that we have to connect with. But if you are volunteering your time to drive kaipaks and drop them off, then yes, we can take you in that matter. And we're happy to, you can give me a call or pop me a message. So yes, is probably the answer. But inside the building, we have to limit that just in order to keep our walls together there.
Yeah,
but we'll
absolutely.
take you.
Absolutely, and you can just see at the bottom of your screen there, whānau, and for you, Kylie, that if you do want to get in touch with Sastri, there's the contact number that you can call her to volunteer your time. But I guess your weekend's going to be pretty busy because, if you're to volunteer your time with Irina, I'm going to say that would be a firm yes, that she could offer you your kaupapa, Irina.
Yeah. So there's plenty to do in our whare ko tahi aroha. So it may not be delivering kai te ao whānau, but it might be something in the heart by your space. So yeah, definitely just drop us a PM, Kylie, and anybody out there that wants to share our puna.
Ka pai. And you can see details for Irina at the bottom of the screen too. And finally, over to you, Felicity. If Kylie wants to put up her hand and after you on the weekends, she can certainly do that.
Yeah, Kylie, you might regret having offered that. Actually, I think you're going to be in hot demand. But yeah, lovely. Look, actually, like Sastri said, for Here to Help You, we follow really stringent privacy and confidentiality. Policy and systems. So we are really protective about that. We want our whānau to always feel safe navigating in. So that does limit us a little bit around the volunteer space in terms of taking calls. But what we would love, and we really need volunteers for, is to paint that town gold and black so that everyone knows about Here to Help You. So we've just been sending resources out to the councils in your area, and they would love volunteers to beat the streets and whack posters up and pop our cards onto counters and then get out there and help these amazing providers that we've got on tonight. They really deserve the volleys. Awesome.
Nice, awesome. Thank you very much for your responses there, team. And thank you, Te Iwi, for asking your pātai this evening. There's some very, very important questions that have come through tonight. Very valuable answers that have been given. So I know that a lot of our whānau will be taking away some really important and key information this evening. Now, before we say goodnight, let's take a very quick look at where the pop-up testing and vaccination centres for the remainder of this week will be. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, Te Oro o Ngātai in Te Kuiti will be operating from 8:30 to 2:30. The Miriama Club in Taumaranui from 9 to 2. The Kāwhia Health Centre from 1 in the afternoon through to 5:30 p.m. and the Waipa Racecourse in Te Aomatu from 1:30 through to 3:30 in the afternoon. Don't forget that you can also get vaccinations as well for the remainder of this week. They're operating at the Te Aomatu Vaccination Centre between 9 and 4. Also at the Countdown Car Park in Otorohanga from 10 till 3 and the Taumaranui Community Kokiri Trust from 10 a.m. through to 2 p.m. And of course, for more details and other locations for the pop-up testing and vaccination centres, you can head to the Waikato DHB Facebook page. But that is us for tonight, ETV. Thank you very much for your company. But before we do sign off, let's just very quickly go back to our wonderful team, the wonderful service providers that are out there on the front line, looking after our whānau. And a few, Felicity, what would be your final words that you'd like to share with whānau who are affected by this pandemic?
Don't be alone. Reach out. Over 75% of the people who are using Here to Help You are either Māori, Pacifica, or from migrant communities. So, don't feel that you can't reach out. We're there, and we're ready. We're ready to help, and we'll do our absolute best. So, we've got this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking forward to working with you more in the very near future, Felicity. Sastri, what would you like to say to our whānau, and in particular those who are just finding things just a little bit difficult at this time?
Just like Felicity said, and Ed's I tautoko all the kōrero that I've said tonight, but reach out is definitely number one, whether it's for kai, or whether it's for help for other things, including budgeting and counselling and whānau support. We're always there. It's not just a COVID thing. So even when COVID does end or when it comes to a roll down, we're always there to help. But don't forget that there's plenty of service providers. We're lucky enough in Aotearoa to have a lot of providers to be able to help you, whether that's through your iwi and in your marae, or even just in your town and churches. Somebody's always there, so just reach out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do for our communities as well, Sastri. And finally, to you, Edina, what words of support can you give our whānau who find themselves in a situation where where they need just a little bit of extra help, a little bit of a hand up?
What I'd say is kei konei o ringa raupa hei manaaki I a koutou. So, we are here and we're here to serve you. So please don't feel whakama and just reach out. We're in this together at the end of the day. We didn't know that this ngangara was coming, and it's hit us with surprise. So, we are all in this together. But also before we head off, I just want to thank Waikato Tainui, Love Soup, Te Pūtahitanga, e Ngāti Toa Hauora, who have supported us in this journey and navigating these spaces without all your support, we wouldn't be able to deliver the way we do, mai te hapori mō te hapori, and provide kai. So e mihi ana kia koutou. Also to our team, we've accessed your services as well, Felicity and Sastry, so e mihi ana kia koutou.
Ka pai. Thank you, Irina, and thank you for all the mahi that you do for the iwi. And indeed, thank you all very much for your expert advice and insightful information this evening, and also for the important mahi that you all continue to do, being there, supporting our whānau and our communities during this pandemic. Felicity Beadle from Here to Help You, Sastry Montgomery from the Otorohanga Support House Whareawhina, and Irina Wihi from Kotahi Aroha. Thank you very much for allowing us to be a part of your evening tonight. E mihi ana kia koutou katoa.
Kia ora, Winnie.
Kia ora, Winnie.
Bye. Well, that wraps up our session for tonight. We do hope that the kōrero shared tonight gives you a better understanding of what help is out there, especially for those who may be finding things a little bit challenging at the moment. But, please know that there is support and help out there for you. And please do use these services because they are here for all of us. Remember, at the iwi, that MFM will keep you up to date with any breaking news and latest developments across our various platforms, and we will be back soon for another live Q&A here on Te Puna Kōrero o te Nehenehenui. Thank you for joining us this evening. Look after one another. Stay safe. Take care. Ki te kotahi te waihoe, ka ora te iwi, pō Mārie.